Hello everyone, my name is James, this is a plush Cthulhu, and these are Kyberlight Lightsabers. The plush Cthulhu has nothing to do with what we're here for today, but in accordance with the laws of the internet, putting it in my video increases the number of hits that this video will get. The Kyberlight Lightsaber, though, is kind of the new kid on the block in the lightsaber community, so I figured I would do a review of this to give you some idea about how it works, what it's made of, and to what extent it lives up to the promises that the campaign has made while they were making this. So one thing about it, the Kyberlight Saber has a little bit of a different setup than standard. Most sabers that use modular systems, like the Saber 4J SP or the Ultra Sabers or TCSS's MHS system, use screw-together systems much like the pommel on this. You want a different pommel, you pick up a different pommel, you screw on a different pommel, etc. The Kyberlight uses a little bit of a different system. The pommel is the same, but the rest of these slide on top of a base model. So right here, I've got an emitter. I unscrew the emitter, and it slides off. Okay. This color sleeve right here, and the CoverTech wheel itself. CoverTech wheel is optional. This thing comes with additional screws, so if I don't want that, I just use one of these flat ones instead. Okay, 2 screws, anchor that, and it slides right off. So this is the naked or bare bones Kyberlight Saber. Kind of plain, looks a bit like a sex toy, but with all these other additional bits, it can turn into some pretty interesting stuff. This saber, this pommel, this sleeve, and this emitter, which I'm not going to screw in right now, this is what you get with the base set. Okay, the rest of these pieces are something that come with the master set. You pay a little bit more for them. I'll go over some of these pieces in a moment. The basic overall layout of it, we've got a button here for power on and power off. We've got a button here for color cycling. We've got an in-hilt recharge here. We've got a set screw for the LED module here. All right, so that's pretty much the layout. Design flaws with this as it sits. There are a couple. First off, there's a ridge right here between the 2 buttons that is rather sharp. I originally thought that I would rather not use the little sleeves here. I'd just go with the bare metal model in the middle with an emitter and a pommel. Did that for a few minutes, laid my thumb open on that little cut right, on that little bit right there. So if you're going to use it without that, use gloves. Otherwise, you put on one of these, works just fine. Another issue with this is that supposedly you are able to change emitters on the fly just by removing that, or removing the little thumb screw. Okay, they also come with a thumb screw, by the way, for some of the easier emitters. So just to show you that, put a thumb screw in there, stick in a blade, all right. Now, I should be able to tighten the tension wrench here, or tighten the tension of the blade there, and if I wanted to change the emitter, I would just unscrew this and slide this off. You notice that doesn't happen. Okay, the set screw that they come with for the blade is just a little bit too long. I can tighten it enough so that I can slide this off over the blade without having to undo the set screw. However, if I do that, I have to tighten the bejesus out of the set screw into the blade, which is doable, but I prefer not to. So for me, I have to remove the blade in order to remove the emitter. Now, if that's an issue, I could just go down to a hardware store, pick up a slightly shorter set screw for a few cents, and that would fix it. I just haven't done that yet. One last design flaw on this is that the color sleeve, because it attaches here and here with the screws, there's a little bit of wobble right there. A little bit of electrical tape right around here fixes that well enough. Not a big deal, but a little bit of a wobble. I don't know that that's avoidable. If you made this a tighter fit, you'd scratch up the inside every time you put one of these on and off. So I think that's probably something that one just has to live with. In terms of the pieces, so when you get the larger set, I showed you what came with the original set. The larger set contains 6 sleeves, unless you backed early enough to get the green one. So you've got different options for color sleeves, different designs. A lot of them have this cutout in the back. The blue one that you see me using here does not. Okay, so you get 6 different ones of those. In terms of the emitters that you get this red dwarf emitter that I showed you earlier. I rather like this one. It's not even remotely Star Wars, but it is a pretty nice emitter. It actually says Mega Man Beam Sword to me, but it would work really well for an anime cosplay or something like that. You get this, which I kind of like this one as well. This one is interesting because of the way that the bit of the base saber sticks up through the windows. This means that when it's lit, you actually get light out of here that bounces off of here, which is kind of an interesting effect. We've got the typical angle that I showed you earlier. We've got the one that comes with it that I showed you earlier. We've got one that's kind of like a katana suba that you see installed on here. This is another one of my favorites. It's heavy, but it's a pretty neat design. And then we've got one that's a lot like that one, except with bits cut out of it. I'm not as big of a fan of this one. I don't think I'd ever use this instead of this, but it's there. And finally, we've got the claw. The claw is designed to look like one of the clawed emitters, like a Saberforge Venom or a Alter Saber's Warglaive, more like a Venom. Windows down here, detachable claws. There's a place there to put a hex wrench and a screw right there. So the claw, a lot of people are interested in that one. Not my thing, but there it is. One thing about the claw is that these ride right up against the blade. So be prepared for that. They don't stick out like a lot of the other manufacturers do, which is either a plus or a negative, depending on how you look at it. Okay, pommels. This pommel, which you see on here, is one of my favorites because it is weighty. You see the vents here for the sound to come out. Weighty pommels are hard to come by, and if you're going to do contact rolls with lightsabers, I'm a performer and I do that sort of thing, you need something that's heavy to offset the balance. Alter Sabers has a couple, Saberforge has one. This is the heavy pommel for the Kyberlight. Okay, there's the low profile. I had this on the red one earlier. Also a nice pommel. This black one is not bad, actually. It's got, these little grooves are deeper than they look, so you can kind of see through the edges, which is a nice feature. In the section here of stuff that I'm not too wild about, but are okay, this is kind of designed to look like a Luke Episode 6 pommel, to a certain extent. It's got vents at the bottom, black around the outside. This is the one that comes with it. I showed you that. This one I think is designed to look kind of like an Obi-Wan Episode 2, but it looks to me a lot more like the the end on a pool cue cane conversion that I've got. So there's that. Not my favorite, but not too bad. Staff coupler I'll talk about in a second. Over here in the stuff I don't like section, this one stands alone. This design had promise. It was a neat design. It's designed to look like the Relic from Saberforge, or the Renegade from Alter Sabers, or to an extent the Wrath from Vader's Vault. Problem with it is that all of these little bits here are very sharp. If you value your hands, or if you value the gloves that you're wearing, you probably don't want to use this one. A little bit of beveling would have taken care of this. It's kind of a shame that that didn't happen, but as it stands, I wouldn't use this one for fear of injuring myself. So those are the parts. It comes with a blade plug as well. It comes with a staff coupler. Staff coupler is what it is. It does the job. It's a pretty secure fit. Vents for sound. A little bit rough rough with the ridges there, but if you're not doing a contact roll, not too bad. The other things that come with this, we have the blade. Now the blade has some problems, but it's overall a solid design. It's got a screw-on tip like you see in a Saberforge Infinity V4. The screw-on tip has a mirrored disc with a hole in the middle for shine through, which is something you see with Vader's Vault. It's seated very deeply, which is a little bit concerning, but I guess means they won't fall out. The typical blades are trans white. Their problem with the typical blades, though, is if you notice, this looks pretty dim compared to some other options. We end up getting, the blue starts fading around here, and it's very light by the end. If I show you in a red, sorry about that camera. If I show you in a red, let me get to a red here. There's the color cycle, by the way. There are 20 colors preloaded onto this thing. Most of them are good solid colors. One of them, this. It may look like the blade is off here. This is actually their black blade color. It's more of a gimmick than anything else. I use it to know my place in the color cycling, but I can't see that I'd ever use it, especially not in a lit room. But anyhow, back to a red. So the red starts to fade out around here, and by the end I'm getting nothing but pink. Okay, so while this may seem like a failing of the LED, it is not. The LED is about as bright as a standard LED for an Ultra Sabers or a Saberforge. The problem with the blade is that it has no diffusion film. Okay, here is a trans white Ultra Sabers blade. Okay, diffusion film on the inside, trans white. Not really good with red, but certainly not that fade out like the other had. Okay, looks a lot better with blue actually. This is an Ultra Sabers Aeon. All right, so Ultra Sabers blade, film. Saberforge Infinity blade, film. Easy enough to rectify though. You go to a craft store, you get some of the cellophane like this, cut about 3 foot of it, and I've got it sticking out the end of the blade here. This is back to the Kyberlight blade. Okay, cut about 3 foot of it, and it doesn't fade out at the end. You end up with a nice, better, or a much nicer blade rather. All right, so blade, not bad. They also had day blades, which suffer from the same problem. You can see with the yellow here, you can see right through this thing. Okay, you hook this up to a light source, and you get not much. You get a little bit of illumination here, a little bit of illumination there, and all the light escapes in the middle. Okay. The nice thing about the day blades, though, they have the same construction. An unexpected bonus, by the way. This is the green one without film, the green one with film. Pop some of that same film in there, that same diffusion film, and you get even lighting. The green one is actually fluorescent, which means that it's like the photon blades that TCSS and Vader's Vault sell. If you see here, I hit the yellow blade with a blue LED, nothing. I hit the green blade with blue LED, and it lights up. Okay, I run the LED through the inside of the green blade, and I get this interesting thing that I think Vader's Vault was calling a rat ghoul green. Their green blades are darker hue than the ones that TCSS and Vader's Vault sells, which are kind of a yellow. But it still does that illumination all the way to the end in sort of an off color, as long as you're running anything through it that has blue in the spectrum. So, nice bonus. Also a lot brighter than the other blades. That green day blade is quickly becoming one of my favorite blades. So there's all the parts. Let's take a look at some of the features. So I've shown you the light cycling, I've shown you on and off. In-hilt recharge uses the same recharge port that a Saberforge Saber uses. Inside, under the hood here, we have the soundboard and light board all in one board, rechargeable battery. The nice thing about this light board is that it is modular insofar as nothing is soldered to it. All these pieces are quick connects. Even up at the top, I can't really get it out that far, but you can see those two leads up there. One of those leads is for white and red, the other is for green and blue. If I unplug the green and blue lead, I have a saber that color cycles only through red options. It doesn't have blanks where the green and blues were, it only picks up the ones that work. If I unplug the red one, I kill my flash and clash because the white's on there, but I only end up with blue and blue-green mixes. So that's kind of nice, that everything is modular like that. Another thing about this, you may have noticed that my saber doesn't make sound. I'll show you why. I unplug the speaker. Plug the speaker back in, clip it onto the sled. Okay. Alright, I unplugged it because I don't like that sound font. That sound font actually only has one sound bank for swing, one for clash, and one for hum. And there's no sound mixing, so when you swing, the swing effect takes over, the hum effect goes away. Other sabers have 8 swing effects, 8 clash effects, and the hum effect is sometimes either blended into or underlying underneath the clashes and the swings. This one is kind of repetitive because of the limited number of sound effects and a little bit choppy. I wanted a stunt saber anyways, so I decided just to roll with it. Took the speaker out, and I've got what I've got. One other feature of this is the flash on clash. Some people have had problems with that. Reason being, here, there we go. Reason being, you can see that it flashes from the solid color, or the base color to white, to off, to white again. Okay, so there's that strobe in the middle. It's that off that people have trouble with. Doesn't really bother me. If you're running a solid blue, a solid red, or a solid green, it's more noticeable. Use anything that's close to a white, it's less so. Use a day blade, it's less so, again, because of the solid color of the day blade. So, not perfect, but not a deal breaker. Okay, in terms of the features of this, and the price, is it worth it? I think it is. Partially because of that price point. These things cost me about $250 per saber with all of these pieces. To get a color cycle feature like that in another saber, I would be looking to Sun Crusher on Vader's Vault or the top-end RGB on Saber Forge, and I'd be looking at spending at least $450, $500 for a saber. Alright, if I were to get them on Ultra Sabers, I'd need an Emerald board, but that doesn't allow me to color switch on the fly. I'd have to plug it into a computer to switch my colors. So to get a feature like that, I'd have to pay twice as much for the saber. So for the color switching alone, I think these things are a great value. Also, for all the parts you get and the customization, also a great value. The soundboard, not so much. But again, they're working on a V2 version of this, and if they fix some of these issues like the design flaws or the soundboard, since everything is modular, I should be able to just pick up a new board, pop it in, and go from there. That would be nice, but it's not necessary because I still feel like I've gotten a pretty good value. The other things that came with this, we've got dueling gloves, which are actually pretty nice. The back of it has some pretty decent armor. Rubber sticks up. The palm has grip, which is actually also really nice. These came with the system. And a shirt. Now the shirt is a gimmick. It's a light-up shirt that has their logo on it. There's a switch, and the shirt lights up. You probably can't hear it from there, but there's a beep every time the light hits too, which is why I wouldn't wear this shirt. That beep would drive me crazy. But if I were inclined to do a do-it-yourself project, I can gut the lights from that and use it to customize the saber. So that's the Kyberlight. Hopefully this review has been helpful. If it has, please like or subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in seeing more videos, I have tutorial series on how to use these. I actually have a Kickstarter right now for remaking my tutorial series. So if you're so inclined to help, please drop by. I'll put a link in the description for this video. The videos produced from that Kickstarter will actually be free and on this YouTube channel. But I'm offering backer perks for people who are interested in helping me make those videos of higher quality when they're remade. Again, that description, or that's going to be in the item description. Otherwise, hopefully this review has helped you, and happy sabering.